Exciting news, y'all. We got the Back to the Land Festival coming up. Right after that, Michelle is actually going to be with me to teach you and anybody else who wants to come. The day before the Self-Reliance Festival, we are going to have a workshop. And guess what it's going to be about? We're going to show you to do exactly what we're doing in the driveway over here, how you make a guild, how to plant a tree, how they all work together like the fingers of your hand. Be there, be square.
This is Perma Pastures farm in action, where permaculture is my passion.
All right, y'all, exciting day in the chicken tractor on steroids. And I never get tired of doing this, y'all. This is my pride and joy, what we do here. Because within this system, if you're new to it, you can easily produce all of the meat you need in the form of those chickens inside that tractor, produce all the eggs you need if you had an egg laying system. It could be a combination of both. And right here, this is the star of the show today. We're gonna produce a bunch of compost in this system too, 1.5 cubic yards. Now, before we get going, I would just want to explain that it's been raining cats and dogs around here. So we're going to show you how to deal with some of those problems. But y'all, this is finished compost, okay? It's a little bit soggy and wet right now, but this is finished compost. Let me just kind of describe what's going to happen today though. It's at this point, this is critical. It's at this point that this system nonstop can be, depending on how you scale it, can be producing up to 3 cubic yards a week. Because we're not doing the work. We've only flipped this thing, counting today, it will be about 4 times. Now, this is that 1 day a week. It's Thursday, but you're gonna see this Friday. We're gonna take this pile, because it's finished, we're gonna take our net that's right here, we're gonna situate it over this pile, okay? And then all the other piles are gonna flip downhill. That's how it works. It's really that simple. So 1 day a week is when you're gonna do all your flipping. I'm just kind of giving you this is not the easiest way to do it, but it's the easiest way to give you a visual representation of it. So, this is how it works from here on out. Granted, the fence will look better when we're done here in a minute. So, this is a pile that'll turn out next week. But this one here, now that it's done, we're gonna take this, we could flip it uphill. I know you can't get a sense of scale here, but that way is uphill. Or we could flip it downhill, depending on how we want to do it. Now, it's also very soggy because unlike an 18-day pile, this thing's open to the elements. So it requires a little more work in terms of your monitoring. Remember, in permaculture, we do more observation than anything. So we're probably gonna turn this thing uphill, put it right here in this footprint, and it looks like we're gonna have a blue sky for the most of the day. You never know in these mountains. We'll turn it up here, we'll let it dry out. And then probably next week, we're gonna show you just how we do it, because this pile's gonna turn uphill, and look what's right next to me. Take a good look at this. We got our fruit trees, our nitrogen fixers. I can literally take this stuff. I got 2 choices at this point. I can take this, dress these trees, dress the shrubs, dress everything in my orchard. Remember, we had all of that jacked up store-bought bag soil that we should have never used in the first place inside that greenhouse, the high tunnel. Anyway, that's what we got options to do. Or check this out. You can literally spread it on the ground, make yourself a Jeff Lawton instant garden in the very footprint I'm standing in. Those are some pretty awesome options. I could take this stuff. We've shown you in videos past where we can literally take that, make potting soil out of it. We can take it, sift it, make a mix for trees, starting trees, or just take a couple of steps right over here and dress what I already have, y'all. Tell me that ain't a beautiful system. We're applying the chicken tractor on steroids with zoning. This is the consummate definition of permaculture, y'all. This is why we don't give you a definition of permaculture, because there is no elegant definition of it. We're showing you, and that is the best way to learn. All right, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and reposition this net, and then we're gonna go ahead and flip these piles. All right, y'all, we got the birds moved, got the cage moved. This is where the cage was. At this point, this is where it becomes compulsory. Okay, this is what you're going to do every single time, and it can become repetitive. And I got to point this out because those of you that are considering this lifestyle, I just want to give you a cautionary tale. There is an enormous amount of work when you're farming that's repetitive. It's why I'm able to get through so many podcasts in the course of a day. So just keep that in mind. Also, I got some fitness goals I'm trying to get in, and I've talked about it before. I'm getting in better and better shape every day. Thank you, Lord. And part of how I'm doing my cardio, this is how I can take what some would consider maybe an arduous task and make it very easy in my own mind, is because I know that I'm putting in the time it's going to take me to do this. I'm going to get my heart rate going. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work hard. And I'm going to do it for maybe however long it takes. Let's say 30 to 45 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my cardio workout while doing this. How cool is that? So it's all a matter of how you view it, how you want to work it. So first thing I'm going to do is the birds are in there and they're going to stay put just for a little while. They know what time it is at this point. We're going to flip this pile right here. Then we're going to take all the piles up here and flip them down. That's exactly how it's going to work. So with that said, Michelle's going to work the hose. I'm going to do the flipping. And it all depends on how much moisture. This is where practice is really going to come down to it. Because it's rained so much, I may not even need to put any water in this at all. First pile flipped, and as you can see, I'm starting to sweat. That's a good thing. Even though it's kind of cool out this morning, sun's coming up. In most cases in a system like this, it's too wet. So the way we get around that is we volcano the piles. Now we've talked about this a lot on Patreon, and I'm not so sure that I covered it here. I just stacked this up just to demonstrate what I'm about to show you. Now, the clear indication that your pile is way too hot, the chickens are going to tell you everything. If they work the outsides of it and leave the top squared away, I guarantee it is way too hot in that pile. So here's how we remedy that. We take the middle, we bring it out. Just like I'm showing you right here. I can't believe I'm doing this. I just stacked all this up just to tear it back down again. We're going to make it, and I don't even know if that's the term for it, but that's what I call it. We basically make a volcano out of it. So you got way too much heat in there. You got to get it out. Now, I'm not going to totally tear this thing down for demonstrations, but I'm going to bring that. I'm going to take the inside of that and I'm going to pull it out all the way around this pile until I'm about maybe 6 inches, to the regular ground. Let the chickens work on it. They'll dissipate it. They'll work it over. They'll cool it off. And then you're going to have to stack it back up at the end of the day. So look, y'all, I never said this was going to be like super easy. Think about this. The closer you get to nature, the more inputs you require from the outside, the less work you do. But when you source all of your inputs in a system like this, I'm not going to kid you, it requires more out of you. So that's something to consider when you do this. All right, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pile this up. We're going to go ahead and do the next pile, and then we'll make adjustments as we go. Now let's take a poke inside and let's just see what we got. This is where the carcass and the pigs and everything, and as you can see, it's probably going to be more difficult for you, but I kid you not, every time we process animals and we put them in a pile, that will be the best pile every single time. In fact, the only thing left, and we'll show you here in a little while if we remember to, the only thing left of that pig that we put in this pile is basically its mandible and, the blocky part of its head. So all we'll do is keep graduating that down into another pile. You can leave it in here, but this pile, I'll tell you what, is looking pretty darn good. And I can tell the heat's perfect. I could put a thermometer in here, but I don't need to. I can tell you right now, this thing is exactly what we want. So when I flip this, I can tell the moisture is pretty close to being on point. But since it's open to the elements, it's open to the sunshine, chickens are going to spread it out. You can even see the steam coming off this thing. That's exactly what we want. In fact, in the winter, when we couldn't afford good boots, William would stand in the middle of this and literally warm his feet as he would be flipping the pile. So, all right, 2 down. Now, this one here, the closer it becomes to getting compost, when you have a rain event, that's when it's going to get more waterlogged. So I'm going to poke it up and see what I got in here. Just take the middle out, take a look. It's got good heat. Moisture's about perfect, but it's very wet on the outside, so I'm not gonna add any water to this. But you can see it doing exactly what it's supposed to. Now, every time we flip these, the chickens are going to go absolutely nuts. And we'll show you here in a minute. So with that said, it's time to flip this one down to there. All right, everything's flipped in here except for that one out here. And I'm sweating like Henry Kissinger at a war crimes tribunal. So that's a good thing. Okay, so what we're gonna do, because we don't wanna make the chickens wait any longer than we have to, let's just kind of cover this real quick. You can see this, it's a week away from being compost, okay? Look how developed it is. Now, look at this one. It's a little less developed. And then we look at this one, it's not anywhere close to as developed as the other two. So, as we go down, here's what's left. And I'm gonna leave this out. There's a little bit of the ribs, a little bit of the head, and a little bit of the mandible of that pig we let out. So, here's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna let the birds out. They're probably gonna go to work on it. First they'll hit this wondering what's up. They're gonna want some water. They're gonna do all the things birds do. And until we get them fed over here, they're gonna check out the green grass that they now have, and they're gonna work these piles over, because all we give them essentially in that compost cage is gonna be carbohydrates. All of their protein, which is the best they can get, is all gonna come out of that pile. So with that said, I'll go ahead and let them out. Top of the morning, birds. Check it out, they see some brand new green grass, all that. And now you see a detachment of them back up there, and look where they go. They're gonna hit the water, and some of them are gonna go straight to the pile.
All right, so we added wood chips to the bottom because you always start with your carbon first. So we've got some wood chips, and then from our garden, I cleaned out some beans and some horseradish from the garden. So that's what this is. It's just all chopped up. So then we're gonna add this. There's probably some green beans in there also that they'll probably eat.
They're already working on that pile right there. Look at them. And then they're working up the hill. That's exactly what they do. Okay, so here's the next step. We got them off and running. Now, we're gonna take our handy dandy rice knives. We got them at the website if you want them. Got two different colors, brown and, look y'all, I see primary colors. It's either brown or blue. I don't know chartreuse and all the rest of that. But going right back to our zones, okay? I'm just gonna reach over here. This is gonna handle two things. Now, they're gonna come back here because they love comfrey. They see a dinner bell already with that comfrey, okay? As soon as I step away. It's also gonna do another thing. It's gonna act as a starter in that compost pile. So they're gonna start working on it. They're gonna leave the stems, the things they don't wanna eat. They're kind of highfalutin birds. In fact, I'm gonna get a little bit more and let them go to work. They're eating the comfrey, and at the same time, I want to also point out something that's something of a self-licking ice cream cone. And that is some of the bones that are still left from the pig still have a little bit on them, okay? So the flies are going to come here, and this is beautiful, y'all. I talked about it on Patreon. It's like a self-licking ice cream cone. The flies come in, they lay their larvae, they'll turn into maggots. The first thing these guys will go for are the maggots. So every day as they eat the flesh off of it, the maggots are coming in, and it's also providing more protein for these guys. So we just kind of recycle the bones down the hill as we go. But as you can see, they're perfectly content. So here in this bucket, we got our typical thing. We got bread, which they'll work on a little bit. But you know who that's for? It's really the crows. They'll peck at it a little bit. But really what they want is the rest of this, which is the rice, the beans, the tortilla chips, and I got a little leftover feed in there for them too. So now the feeding frenzy begins. So here's where we go. If you're new to this system, y'all, this is why this is the most consequential food producing system, compost producing system on planet Earth. Like I said, if you know of a better one, let me know. So I'm sitting in here getting these birds fat for free. It's not costing me a dime at this point. I could have it go on and on and on. But right now what I want is for them to get in here, do their thing, work these piles over. How beautiful a system is that, y'all? It's systems like this that are gonna make all the difference. So if you can't do it by yourself, enlist help. It works. We have playlist after playlist showing you how to do this. There are numerous people out there doing the very same thing. So take and absorb from it what you think is useful, and blessings to you and yours while you do it. If you need rice knives, you need comfrey, bone sauce, comfrey salve, all of that stuff, we got it at the website. EMP shield, kind of got that down below too. Chicken processing video, look in the description box down below. You're probably going to find a lot of what you need. It'll help you out and helps us out. Till next time, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. We'll see y'all.